Another week ahead of us, a lot of central banks in front of us, markets celebrating a framework that was announced between the US and China. And I want to talk about what's happening in the markets today. Maybe you could see it clearer with a shorter term chart, the 4 hour chart. So we have this gap higher opening. And going back to the Bible, Edwards and McGee of Technical Analysis of Stock Trends, there's three kinds of gaps. There's a breakaway gap, runway, where you could measure a move, and then there's an exhaustion gap. Okay. Now, I would find this highly unusual since the move that we've had all the way back from April, right? For this to be a breakaway gap. Okay. So the key now, and it probably won't do it today, anything could happen, but should this gap get filled, it will be an exhaustion gap. And what does exhaustion imply? It implies the market's really tired and needs a rest. So pay attention to that. You look at the daily on the S&P, and this is a pretty good bearish argument with the RSI when it pops up. Okay. So here was this high that we had. There's a nice little break and right around the equinox, September 23rd. But the RSI was over 70. It was, I think, about 75, and actually confirmed a high going all the way back. Or, yeah, it was a confirmed high. Then we pulled back and we rallied again and we diverged this time, right around just a little under 70. But yeah, I mean, you could see with the naked eye that this was a lower peak, right? Then we had this big crash day when President Trump talked about 150% tariffs on China, and we fought ourselves. If you would have told me here we were going to be at new highs, I would have bet against you. But we have to deal with what we have in front of us. The cards were dealt and trade that. So look at where the RSI is now. It's way under 70. Does it mean it stops today? But so you have a couple of things that are chinks in the armor. Also, I'll take a look. I'm sure there's some stocks that aren't making new highs. I'll check in a minute. But so you have two things that are negatives, right? A potential exhaustion gap, and this is really your first daily RSI divergence in quite a while. At least back here, um, mid-September. So that's about 6 weeks of the market doing this kind of work, which could be distribution. So be aware of it. Anyway, I'm buying more puts. So I'll put that to rest. They all, most of these indexes had gaps. NASDAQ traded through it, but the Dow has a gap. The weakest stock index contract is the Russell, and the Russell hasn't even made a new high yet. And look at this divergence. And unlike the S&Ps, the Russell actually is diverging on the 4 hour. So there's your weak sister. It has the weakest construction, and has been the most forgiving because they haven't even taken the stops out from a few weeks ago. So you guys know which way I'm leaning. And I told you, I bought more puts on the opening this morning. So let's take a look at a couple of stars and see if they're confirming. Here's NVIDIA. So I was looking for a failing rally in NVIDIA, and it's taken all of this strength in the S&Ps. Right now, I'd say it's about a little over 61.8 back. So this could be a failing rally in NVIDIA. And next time we take out 76, we're looking at, 64 or lower. Here's another, and this is with semiconductors gapping to new highs. Here's another one that's not making new highs. It's Broadcom. And, it's a pretty tight risk trade here, too, to short it and be wrong over the highs, say about 375. Because if we break down and take out this low, we're going to at least, 280, maybe lower. So what else isn't confirming on this move? I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of screens, see if the banks are XLF up. XLF is not making a new high. I think B of A is, but massive divergence there. Still be careful with the banks and the weak banks are the regionals. That's KRE, if I could find it. And also, let's take a look at the MAGs. So the MAG sevens are um, making new highs. A gap here. We are confirming on that. The daily, I guarantee you, we're not. So this will be another gap for you to pay attention to. And then let's look at the SOCs, the semiconductors. There's a daily, and you do have some divergence. 301.92. It's up 6, up 2% here. And here's the strength in the semiconductors. It's AMD, but you look at a 4 hour, I don't know. We're not confirming there. How about SOX? Not confirming there. Look, we're at 70 with this big gap higher opening. This is where I bought more puts on the SOXS right here. And this is diverging on the 4 hour. Okay, this is a triple bearish, still holding 30. Okay, I mean, at these lows, your reading was 22. So we're 50 cents lower, which is 20% lower, and the RSI is higher than this. And then look at this was the last confirmed high that we had. It was around the same time as the S&P is putting in a confirmed high. This is a confirmed low mid-September. So we'll see what happens. Pay attention to exhaustion gaps and some divergences on the dailies. Uh, let's take a look at the metals because the metals, even though they're down sharply, it's been a great break. Did my best to tell people to hedge it and to be careful, but we could be on the verge of completing the first wave down. You know, uh, 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, and we're going to get 5. Same thing in silver. Silver's still weaker than gold, and we're approaching some levels I think have to hold, and that's going to be down here at this 46 and a half. But I would sell rallies back to 50-50. I know it's a big rally, and wherever gold settles, if it attempts rallies back towards 42, 42.50, I'm a seller there as well. The dollar told you on Friday to take your 30 pips on euro from the 1650 resistance. It's there again. Maybe it's not going to get through. If you want, you could try another short here with in fact, let's do it. You know what? Let's put it in the room. Okay. So here's our room. I log in like everyone else. It's free. And I'm going to put out, so this is where you come to see some of my stuff and Mike's stuff. And they're posted here. What's the last again? 116.34. There's 50. And then I also, no, that's not the one I wanted to use. I also have one more thing to talk about based on this deal with China, which definitely makes one of my forecasts that I've been talking about for about 2 months now that, we've had corrective periods, but I'm going to show you the grains next. So, all right, so here's euro. It's already starting to fade a little bit, only up 7. I'm looking maybe 1480, 1460 for this, Be happy with you know, 80, 80 pips on this one. And I'm going to wrap it with the grains. So you guys know I've been pounding the table on the grains for a while, and we've all seen news articles about all the farmers that were on the verge of bankruptcy because China wasn't a market for them anymore. And take a look at the action here. So corn has been acting pretty good for a while. I'm going to show you the weekly basis. Some are getting ready to come out. Corn's getting ready to come out. Wheat, I put out a new buy 2 weeks ago, and it's starting to look a lot better too. Look at that. And the beans, which, a lot of the bean farmers are in trouble as well. And we're approaching this major, major resistance level up here around 1098. So, if we get that going, we could be looking at 12 or 14. So, um, this too isn't going to help the inflation outlook. This has been benign for a few years since the invasion, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So, hope you also hedged some of your, miners. That was something else I tried to impress upon people. I think dust is making new highs here. That's a week, almost. So, I think you could buy dust on a pullback. We're doing it here. We had to live through this, but it ended up working out. And just take a quick look at socks. Socks is another one. The gap's not that big. So, and look at, unlike the S&Ps, it's still diverging. And those others I showed you, Nvidia and Avco, I like the Broadcom sell because there's a lot of air under it. And it was a star, and it's not making new highs. And your stops are pretty, could have them over this high, give it a few percent over this high. And NVIDIA, that's getting closer. Maybe it is going to go for new highs. But, you know, I think this is a short too. It's taken new highs in semiconductors, mainly led by things like AMD. So that's a wrap for me. I don't really see anything compelling in currencies right now, just dabbling here. Maybe this still is a flag and we're going to take out these lows. So you should be short from right around here, risking 40. Pound's a little stronger, but doesn't look great. Swiss looks okay. Aussie got a big bump because they're with China, so we rallied up to 6.5. Oh, and one last thing, I did sell Aussie Aussie yen, which really isn't working out. Aussie yen is still grinding higher. Sold at 76 at 100. I'm down 29 pips. Here's a guppy. Maybe it's going to make a new high, and Euro yen is the only one that has. So, these are risk on trades. So you're going to need a reversal in risk for these to start heading down again. So that's a wrap, everyone. Have a great day trading. And I have Dean Christian with us Thursday. Dean has over, I don't know, 150 years of historical data, and he looks at the financials to get a gauge of the market being vulnerable or not. So if they're not making new highs by the time Dean gets there, maybe he'll have more to mention on that. So good hunting today, everyone. Come bring your charts, post your charts in TradeGateHub, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios.